All right, we're in this 97 Civic, and it said that the blower motor's not working for his AC. Got the key on over there. I don't know if you can see that. And there's nothing coming out of the vents, and we don't hear the motor at all. So all we have to do is take off this panel here, and then we're going to test the power to it, make sure it's getting power. And then if it is, then we'll go ahead and replace the blower motor. If not, we might look for the resistor. But let's first take off this panel. There's two little clips on these. There's one right here. Sometimes you can pull them out by hand, and then there's one up here. Just use a screwdriver or a pair of pliers, pull it out. This will pull away, and then we can get to the blower motor, which is right here. All right, so I got the power probe hooked up to the connector right there. Right now I'm on the blue and black wire, and if I turn the blower motor on, we should ground out. You can see there it's ground out. So we're going to move it over to the power. Make sure it's got power. And we got 12.7, 12.7. So we got power. So we know it's not the resistor. If the resistor was bad, you probably wouldn't have it ground down there. Or you'd have only one speed working. Sometimes when the resistors go out, they'll default to the high speed. So you'll have a ground on that at the high speed, but not at the lower speeds. We have ground on it at all the speeds. So I believe the resistor's fine on this. So we're gonna go ahead and pull this blower motor down. There's 3 screws to hold it on. I think they're 7mm or 8, 7 or 8. I think Honda uses 8 actually. So let me go get the socket real quick, and I'll show you where they're at. All right, so this is interesting. I went to take the screw out, and I still had the key on, didn't realize it. You can hear that motor. So just by me jarring it with taking the one socket out with my electric ratchet, got it to work. So the blower motor is bad. It's still bad. It's just sometimes the brushes on the motor get dirty or whatever, wear out. And you can sometimes come under here and just kind of tap the blower motor and it'll start working. So we're still going to replace it because it's just going to happen again. But you got one screw here, there's one here, and then there's one in the back. And just take your 8mm ratchet, and then we got one more in the back, and this should pull right out. Kind of hung up on these wires a little bit. I'm gonna have to put you down and get this out. All right, so you may have to rotate it a little bit, unhook the wire to it, and rotate it a little bit to get it to come out, but it does come out. And we could test this with the power probe and see if it's getting power, or if it's working, since we already know it works because it came on. It's pretty common on these. You could actually just bump on this, and that's another way to test it to see if it's going to work or not, or if it's just a bad motor. If you have a bad resistor, you can go in here, open your glove box, and kind of fold the glove box in a little bit on the corners. Takes 2 hands. Hold on one second. All right, so here's the resistor right here. It's got 2 Phillips screws, one on each side, and you got the 4 wires, one for each speed. It should have like a, there's 4 speeds on it, so it's going to ground out the motor at different speed, different resistance value to ground the motor out to make it go faster or slower. So this is another thing you can check. You could also pull this off and use your test light to see if it's grounding at the different speeds. Each wire is going to have a different speed probably. So anyway, that's where that's at. If you're having a problem where you're not getting any ground down there at the motor, it could be a bad resistor. So that's one thing to check on it. This one's fine. So we're going to go ahead and just replace it. And if you want to do a quick test on your power on your blower motor, like I said, this one just tapped on, or I loosened it a little bit, jarred it, and it came on. But if yours won't come on at all, I'm putting power to it with the power probe, and it is working. But like I said before, it'll stop working again. If it wasn't working and I just tapped on it like that, or took that screw out and it starts working, then it's just a bad brush or something inside this motor is not making great contact when it hits it. So it stops there or whatever. So we'll go ahead and replace it anyway, and you won't have that problem again. All right, so I got the new one here. It's an aftermarket one, and it's got a little bit different plug. It should work the same. It's just got a little extension here. Of course, the factory one doesn't have that. It just plugs straight in, but they're both the same male connector, so it should be fine. And the other thing I was going to point out, you don't necessarily need a power probe to test your electric. You can use a regular test light, and if you're going to test the ground on it, just hook it to battery positive and run it. It's tested, and then find a good ground somewhere underneath here for the ground or for the positive. Make sure it's getting power. I just went ahead and used the computer here and clamped onto that for the ground. It worked fine. So you don't necessarily have to have a fancy power probe or anything like that to check it. I just use it because it can check both positive and ground, and it's got a really long cord on it to allow that. So anyway, we're gonna set this in there. Might have to rotate a little bit to get it in there, and then once you get in there, you just put the 3 bolts in, and it should line up and go in. All right, that's all we're gonna do is just go through and tighten all 3 of those bolts. And there's one in the back. A little hard to see. Get your head in there. Trying to get to it without getting in the camera. I know I'm close to it. And then just plug it in and put that panel back on. First we'll test it. Make sure everything's good, which I'm sure it is. Go ahead and turn. Oh, I gotta go get the key. All right, so I got the key on, and I got it on. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Hopefully you can hear that. Anyway, so that's a fix. All right, so that's about it. Looks like it's all tested and working good. When you take your glove box down, you will have to empty it out because everything's going to fall out if you're going to check the resistor. If you got power going down to your blower motor and you got a ground and everything, then just you know everything's good from your switch down, and you got a bad blower motor. And that is pretty common for these to kind of go in and out. If you could just tap on yours a little bit to see if it's going to come on, and it may come on, and that just means your blower motor's on its way out. You know, it might have lasted a little bit longer, but, you know, if you're tapping on it to get it to go, then it's on its way out. So, anyway, that's about it for this one. And this is the original blower motor. This car's got really low miles, like 70,000 original miles or something like that. It's a 97, so it's in really good shape. But it's like anything else, when it gets that old, it starts, you know, you're talking 25 years old, so some stuff's gonna fail on it. So anyway, hopefully this helps somebody. At least know where your blower motor and your resistor are at. And as far as the blower motor goes, just got that one panel to take off, and you can get right to it. So anyway, thanks for watching. As always, God bless.